Hello, everyone. My name is Elisa Batista. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a native East Coaster based in Berkeley, California, and I'm a campaign director with UltraViolet Action. UltraViolet Action is a multiracial and multi-generational feminist organization with an online community of more than 1 million members from across the country. Together, we take strategic actions in response to the daily injustices that women and gender nonconforming people face. Together, we demand that powerful corporate and political decision makers consider how their policies and products impact our lives. I want to thank all of you for being in community with us today. We're so glad you're here to turn out voters in your own neighborhood using our partner Indivisible's Neighbor to Neighbor program. At this point, a mere 11 days from Election Day, it really is about making sure that voters have a plan to cast their ballot and that we help them in any way that they need. This will be our final Reclaim Our Power call this election season, although we hope you use what you've learned today to canvass before or on Saturday, November 2nd, which is a national day of action to mobilize voters right before Tuesday's election. As I've mentioned, Neighbor to Neighbor allows you to do that in your own neighborhood. Also, this Tuesday, October 29th, is our final Texting Tuesdays bank. We plan to dress up for Halloween. Please join in the fun. I'll drop the link in the chat. And we do have a link for the National Day of Action on November 2nd. Please sign up to knock on at least 10 of your neighbors' doors that day to make sure that they have a voting plan. In other words, we're pulling all the stops to turn out as many voters as possible by November 5th. Before we get started tonight, I wanted to cover a few logistics and ground rules. Today's interactive canvassing training will be an hour. We will be utilizing automated captions for anyone who would benefit. We're only recording the presentations and not audience Q&A. If you do not want to be recorded or if you have any questions along the way, please put them in the chat and my colleague Mary Lazardi or I will flag them to our partners at Indivisible who are leading us in this training today. We want to emphasize the importance of creating a safe space for everyone to feel free to participate. We should remember that when we're out and about talking to voters in our neighborhoods, we are representing Indivisible, UltraViolet Action, and the reproductive justice movement in this country. Therefore, we should be mindful in what we say to these voters. But we can let them know why we vote, encourage them to do so as well, and help them. Voting isn't intuitive, which is another major reason many people don't vote. It's also important to keep in mind that these are Democratic leaning and low propensity voters. So our goal is to make a connection with these voters and remind them that voting is important. So please go out and cast your ballot and that we're here to help if they have any questions as to how to do it. We're working together to make this country a freer and more just place, and respect for each other and those we engage with is a non-negotiable for that. We thank you for abiding by these ground rules and hope you'll feel free to engage with each other and us in the chat. So in the chat, let us know what brought you here today and where you're joining us from. I want to remind everyone that my UltraViolet colleague, Mary, and I were here to flag questions for the facilitators. Just drop your questions in the chat. So let's get started on a quick tutorial before we spend the remainder of our time role-playing on how to talk to undecided voters. Take it away, Carly.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much, the entire UltraViolet team. We're so excited to be here and to be partnering with y'all and to teach you a little bit about neighbor to neighbor. I'm going to continue. Perfect. I'm going to share my screen real quick Can I get a thumbs up or a note in the chat that folks can see my screen just to double check we have no tech issues? Awesome. So my name is Carly Cass. I'm the Associate Director of Network Support and Training at Indivisible. My pronouns are she, her. We're so, like I said, we're so honored to be here today in community with y'all. Quickly, I do want to introduce my colleague, Julian. Julian, do you want to come on and say hi real quick?
Yeah, thanks, Carly. Hi, everyone. My name is Julian Senna, he, him pronouns. I work on Indivisible's political team, running the Neighbor to Neighbor program. Really happy that we're getting an opportunity to talk with you all about Neighbor to Neighbor. We do think it's one of the most effective things that you can do to help us build to a win. So I'm excited that you're interested in joining us.
Yeah. So to kick us off, we're going to show a quick little video that is going to kind of be the basis of what we're talking about tonight. So I'm very proud of this video. I very much enjoy it, and I hope you will too.
With so much at stake this election, getting out the vote has never been more important. That's why we're excited to announce Neighbor to Neighbor, a program designed to make talking to your neighbors about voting quick and easy. Here's how. Once you sign up, we'll send a list of 10 Democratic households near you, a short script, best practices, and an optional printout to leave if they aren't home. Then, just knock on those neighbors' doors and remind them to vote. It's simple, and we know it works. When academic researchers ran experiments of different voter contact strategies, door-to-door canvassing was the most effective method for increasing voter participation, generating one additional vote for every 16 contacts. Hearing from a trusted neighbor is up to twice as effective as hearing from a stranger. So let's do this. Make a difference this election. Talk to your neighbors.
I really like the knock knock at the end. Oh, and I see you have someone from Tampa. That's awesome. I'm from Florida, so I appreciate you being here. So that I hope that gives you a little bit of an
With
overview
so much at
of
stake.
what we are going to talk about this evening. I really love that video. As the video mentioned, this is a new tool that Indivisible developed. We built it, we created it in 2022 to knock doors. It's a really low barrier to entry, high impact method of canvassing. So no apps, nothing you need to download, and we'll get into all of that in a few minutes. But we do know that it is the most effective and easiest way to have conversations this cycle. In fact, it is twice as effective as traditional canvassing. Still very important to do traditional canvassing, but if we're really trying to make an impact, we know this tool works. And I'm going to toss it to Julian, talk a little bit about how we know it's as effective as it is and who we're talking to.
Yeah, thanks, Carly. So how do we know that this method of talking to your neighbors is more effective? Well, once we built the tool, we ran some tests, we ran some experiments, and we asked the data scientists. So we conducted a study in 2022 showing that neighbor to neighbor is up to twice as effective for turning out voters than your average traditional canvass. And that's because the key difference is you're talking to people that you already have a baseline, something in common with, your neighbors with each other. Introducing yourself at the door as a neighbor really helps people let their guard down and listen to you. You are, as a neighbor, you're a trusted messenger. People, voters, especially lower propensity voters, folks who are not as plugged in, they can tune out TV ads and mailers and text messages and everything that folks are being bombarded with right now. But what they're going to remember is when their neighbor from down the street came over and had a real face-to-face conversation with them. So that's a little bit about the theory behind why this works. And digging a little deeper into that data, when they looked through the data and found that neighbor to neighbor had a 1.1 percentage point effect on voter turnout, we look at that number, it may look really small, but in an era when elections are won and lost by really slim margins, that is actually really great. That 1.1, that little 1.1, is really, really good. So when we saw this, we said, wow, we need to expand this program in 2024. This is how we innovate. This is how we stay ahead of the opposition. One of the things that is cool about Neighbor to Neighbor is that it's so convenient and easy to use, and we'll show you exactly how to sign up and use it, that this style of door knocking is really accessible, even to people who are new to door knocking or folks who have tried traditional door knocking and weren't sold on it, or maybe it's not a voter contact method you prefer. It's just so easy that there's a lot more people who are able to have this type of conversation and do this type of door knocking. Also, people are able to reach most, if not all, of their assigned list. We end up with a high contact rate because we're giving folks just 10 doors of their own neighbors who you can visit, whenever is convenient for you. A traditional canvas, you may have dozens and dozens of doors. You may be in a neighborhood that you haven't been to before. And sometimes you have, just one afternoon to knock through as many as you can. But when you have that small list of neighbors who you can visit whenever is convenient, you can go back and try people again if they weren't home. It's a lot easier to complete a large portion of your list. And lastly, it's app free. You don't have to download an app. You don't have to create a login or remember your password to get started. Really, all you need is an email address and your home address to start canvassing. So a couple other ways that Neighbor to Neighbor is different from a traditional canvas, because I'm sure we have some folks on the call who have done their fair share of door knocking in previous cycles. Number one, you aren't talking to a stranger. You're talking to someone that you have, something in common with. Maybe your kids go to the same school, or maybe you both agree that that pothole down the street really needs to get fixed and it's about time. Whatever it is, these people live near you, so you have that built-in commonality with them. Our scripts are also designed to motivate voters and educate folks and help you build relationships with these neighbors, so that if it's the first time you're actually talking to a specific neighbor, you have this in common, that you're both Democratic voters. Not only will they hopefully turn out to vote in 11 days, but that you can carry that relationship into the future, and we can move the needle organizing long term. And as mentioned, there's no app. There's very little data collection. We're not asking you to check off a ton of boxes, enter a ton of data. All we ask you to do is to just mark down if you have talked to somebody or if they are not home. It's as simple as that. And because of all that, it's fun. It's less scary than a traditional canvas because you're in your own environment. Typically when certain neighbors are home and when they're not home. If there's a house that has a big dog that you want to avoid. You're kind of in your own environment. It's more familiar to you, and it's more fun and less scary. So I want to explain a little bit about the types of voters that we're going to be talking to when we participate in Neighbor to Neighbor. First, we build a universe based on high partisanship scores. So like most Get Out the Vote programs, we are screening out Republicans and we're giving you Democratic supporters. We do that through statistical scoring on partisanship, on ideology, on past vote history. We're making sure that these are friendly doors and friendly conversations. And then as far as households go, unlike some other programs you might be used to Neighbor is targeted at the household level. not to a specific individual. What that means is when you go and knock on a door, you'll have, this is the Cass household on your list. When you go and knock on that door, you don't have to ask for a specific person in that household. You should be able to have a GOTV conversation with anyone who comes to the door. We exclude households with any Republican voters to kind of make that workable. And that really smooths out the experience. We also are making sure that we're talking to the most high opportunity voters. So you may know you have some neighbors who are already super voters, those folks who vote every single time. We know we can count on them. We are excluding folks like that from our targets. We exclude the top 10% or so of households that are most likely to vote so that you can have conversations with the neighbors who really do need an extra reminder to turn out and vote. And then we do a lot of work to make sure that the lists you're receiving are high quality. We exclude households that have a really high number of last names in the household. That's usually an indicator of poor data. We also regularly update the universe based on people who newly registered to vote, people who newly moved to the neighborhood, and also, of course, people who have already cast a ballot by mail or through early voting. So these are all ways that we build lists that are going to be responsive and a good experience for volunteers and will help us turn out the right type of voters. And overall, we think that with your help and with everyone's help who has signed up, we can get to 200,000 households. We are almost there with a few days left, and we need your help to get across the finish line. So I think I'm handing it back to Carly.
Yeah, thank you. I also see you have some Palm Beach County. I'm from Palm Beach County, so Sarah, hi. Really glad to be here with y'all. All right, so we did a case study. As I said, we built this tool in 2022, so we had to test it. So we did a case study in New York 3, the special election, and we had folks knock doors in Plainview, which is on Long Island. And what we found is that the Plainview polling location had more early votes than any other polling location in that district. And we know when people vote early, it frees up campaign resources. It also tends to yield better for our candidates. And so in addition to that, we've had a ton of positive feedback where this is highly effective, right? It's easy, it's fun, people are connecting with their neighbors, they're making new friends. And so I have some fun pictures to show. On the left, you'll see some of our folks in Arizona. Shout out to anyone in Arizona. They did a neighborhood canvas. So they were a group of neighbors that wanted to get together and they all knocked doors and they went and I think they either had lunch or a coffee shop. And then we also have a captain's program for folks who have been super door knockers who are like, I want to get more people out. So in the middle, you'll see somebody who is a captain trying to talk to her neighbors about going to knock doors and talk to their neighbors, and then out knocking doors. And these are some of our Long Island folks, as you can see, continuing to knock doors. So it's really simple. We've gotten a ton of positive feedback and there's proof, right? I love pictures because they make me happy. So you're probably sitting here saying, okay, this is great, but where are you knocking doors? So we are knocking doors anywhere that is blue. And I know it's not the most detailed of map, but you will see Florida, Arizona, Pennsylvania, New York, Michigan, all of them. Not gonna name every single state, but let us know in the chat, are you in any of these areas? And if you're not in any of these areas, do you have friend, family, a Facebook friend, maybe an old friend from a former job or college or wherever where that you can say, hey, you're in this area, you should do this thing. Oh, great, Elizabeth, you're on Long Island. It's perfect. So these are our target areas. These are the areas that we believe will have the most impact on the upcoming election. So, oh, great. I'm really glad that there are people in the areas. That was my fear. Awesome. And thank you, Julian, for putting them all in the chat. All right. We've talked up the tool. We've told you we built it. We've told you it's really easy. I'm going to go ahead and walk you through exactly what you'll see when signing up for Neighbor to Neighbor. So it's 4 steps. It's very easy. You're going to go to the website that we provide you. And I think Julian's going to drop it in the chat. I think it will also be in the follow-up email. You're going to enter a couple pieces of information: your name, your address, your email, and your phone number. That's it. Really simple. Then you're going to receive an email and a text message that will give you all of the information you need. So if you are someone that uses your phone for everything, we got you. If you are someone that's like, hey, I need to look at a screen and I need to look at a website, we got you. So you'll get it both ways. It's the same material, and I'll show you. I have screenshots to show you. And then you're going to go talk to your neighbors. You'll talk to your neighbors, and you can report back to us about how the conversations went. And that's it. There's no apps. There's no data entry, nothing like that. The report back is clicking a radio button. So I'll show you that in a second. All right. So we've set up an UltraViolet action page, and this is what you will see when you click on that link that Julian just dropped in the chat. You'll see our goal of 200,000 doors in all of our areas that we're in. You'll also see the form that we're asking folks to fill out. I screenshotted this from the website. So it is very simple. We want your name, your email, your cell phone number, and obviously your address so that we can connect you with your neighbors. Once you fill out the form, you're going to get an email and a text message. So the big image on the screen is what the email is going to look like. And I have more detailed, I love screenshots. We have more detailed screenshots. You'll see it says, welcome, Juliana. Thank you for signing up. You'll get your script. I think it's really important to notice how short the script is. Sometimes when you go out door knocking, the script is so long that you can't get through the script before people, slam the door in your face, say, I gotta go, the baby's crying, I gotta go do this or that. We try and make the script super short. And also, we want you to hit the points in the script, but these are supposed to be relational organizing conversations. So if you veer off a little bit or say, oh my goodness, they finally fixed I live in Chicago, so potholes are very big for me. They finally fixed the pothole down the street. Can you believe it? That's totally fine. The point is to make that connection with your neighbor. You'll also get some best practices, canvassing best practices, and an optional printout. It's a leave behind, maybe someone wasn't home, or if they want more information. And then you'll get your list of neighbors with their name and address. You'll also receive how to contact us. It's really easy, neighbor-to-neighbor@indivisible.org. We have staff managing that inbox every single day, so you should be getting a response pretty quickly from our team. If you have a question, anything you need, we're here. And we also have office hours that we'll tell you about at the end of the presentation. Additionally, if you are a phone person, you'll get all of this on your phone. So you'll get an SMS with a link. You'll click on that link and all of this information will be right on your phone. And this is what it will look like. Again, on the computer, you have the script, the printout, your neighbors, and then if you want to refer, if you're like, this was so great, I want to refer my cousin that lives in, Pennsylvania, or I want to refer my friend that lives in Florida. We have a referral link as well. And then again, this is what you'll see on your phone. So really user-friendly. Now I mentioned an optional printout. The reason we have the optional printout is in case folks aren't home or if they want more information. This is completely optional. The only thing you'll need to do is print it out. So you do need a printer. The one thing, and experienced canvassers will know, please do not put this in someone's mailbox or touch the mailbox. The United States Post Office is very particular about mailboxes, and I want to respect them and just not touch the mailbox. But you can leave it on like a flyer on the door or on the front step. You can even, there are folks that have even said, hey, it's Cindy at 777 Shady Lane. Call me, like totally fine to do whatever you're comfortable with. We've had a lot of folks do personalized things like that as well. Because again, these are your neighbors. Maybe you see them at the bus stop, or maybe you see them walking their dog, or maybe you know that they vacation half the year, so they're not home. So again, when we're asking you to report back, it's very simple. It's a click. And we have this animated video where you can see someone you just press spoke to or not home. And that's it. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to tell us. It's totally fine if you knock 5 of your doors and you go to 1 and someone wasn't home, and then you realize, oh my God, I have to go, do whatever. And you go back and you do 5 more doors later. That's fine. You don't need to do them all at once. And that's it. It's really simple. And then you sign up for another shift because it's so easy to do and it takes no time at all. And lastly, as I mentioned, we have the neighbor to neighbor email address, and then we also have office hours. We have office hours a couple times a week from now until the election, where you can come talk to our team, ask questions, maybe specific questions to your area or your neighborhood. And we're really, really excited about this tool. We're really excited to partner with UltraViolet, and happy to answer any questions that folks may have at this time. I'm going to stop the screen share so I can see everybody's face. Awesome.
So Mary, why don't we stop recording so we can open it up for audience questions?